Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have part 2 of our, pretty much, we went over this thread. We went about halfway through. This was given to us by a, what's it called, a person from my Discord. Thank you for the suggestion, and, yeah, sorry about, waiting so long for part 2. And also, I know a lot of people complain that, I haven't posted as much Bannerlord content. I just wanted to get that story out the way, the Age of Empires 3 story out the way. I have a new channel now where I'm going to upload, other games, that don't really have to fit like the medieval genre and stuff of that nature. So, if you want to go check that out, I'm going to link that down below. But, yeah, I'm going to give a lot more Bannerlord content in the next upcoming days, and we're going to go from there. So, without further ado, I'm going to link this as well down below, and let's get into it. So I'm going to link part 1 as well. So a lot of links down below. Part 1 if you want to check out all of these ideas, but we ended at campaign. So let's do it. So campaign. So different kingdom tiers along the lines of Total War. I can't read. Total War Rome 2, where there were different levels to your empire. Holding lots of land and commanding a lot of nobles should come with a risk of civil war, rife corruption. Different kingdoms tiers should differentiate how your faction is managed, whether you're feudalistic, a democracy, or an all-out empire. Well, I know they're doing this. I don't know exactly civil war, but they are doing a rebellion thing. We're gonna see how deep that goes. If that just only has to do with towns, or that has to actually do with actually how the clan is run and stuff of that nature. But I do agree. I think what would be very cool, maybe a mod very later on, or if they continue to add on to it, is we need a lot more policies. A lot more. Because like, in general, if you even think about politics in general, it's always very complicated. There's laws and stuff about every single thing that has to do with the community. That's just how it is. And I feel like we should have a lot more policies, stuff that has to do with, obviously, clan tier 1s and 2s, clan tier 5s, and then also, if you vote too much for all the high level guys, all the low level guys aren't going to like you, and you have to keep like this balance, which is obviously, very hard to do, and that's kind of like, what do you call it? That's like all the, I don't even know, like, that's just how politics in general works. It's a weird system, but it would be cool to have it like this this policy war in a way in the world. I think that'd be very cool. Next up is roads. Again, something that has been mentioned before, but expands some of my previous ideas, as well as the next one. Roads should play a much larger role in trade and warfare. Armies, say more than 500, should not be allowed to deviate from the road. This means large parties must plan ahead when considering going on the offensive. It would call. I don't agree with this. Unfortunately, I don't agree with this. There's a lot of reasons I don't agree with this, because it's going to be a lot more fights that a person can't really retreat from, and it's kind of like a train track, right? So eventually you're going to meet, and it's like, I don't think that's the best, in my opinion. It would call for a more logical and tactical approach from the player and the AI, as both have to calculate the best route in order to invade / predict where the enemy may invade from. Another reason is, I kind of understand this, like, you would want to pick the best route because you see where everyone else is going at the same time. That's cool, but at the same time, there's not that many, because you've seen that update where the roads are added, right? Like the paths for the roads, and as you can see, there's a lot of choke points, and there's a lot of places where there would always be a fight, and it would be super easy to defend, and a lot of armies would never get through. So, I don't. This would also make invading Styria more of a challenge, as there are a few entry points. Okay, I see. Again, yeah, like I stated, but this works and doesn't work at the same time. Smaller armies will be able to deviate from the roads, so small armies would have the benefit of mobility for scouting, as well as the ability to deploy guerrilla warfare. Look at the ambushes. We've gone over this in one of my videos, but we are going to go over this too. Britannia should have little to no roads, but more of patchwork of paths. Again, this would make invading them very hard. Armies are still able to move along those paths, but at a slower rate, and the cultural perk for the Britannia should be buffed so they can move easily along those paths. Alright, so I don't know if I completely agree. Here's how I kind of saw roads, and kind of how I talked about it previously. I'm going to keep it short. For roads, I think that they should give you I would say, some type of bonus, right, for using the road. because there's going to be a lot of downfalls, right? But I felt like bandits and other stuff like that, bandits, sea raiders, I think that they should not use roads. I think they should stay in the forests and all those in the plains areas, right? And then if they get too close to the road and they see, like, let's say a caravan, then they start chasing them. But the roads would provide a safer way for caravans to get from place A to place B, right? And what's it called? They should give some type of bonus, because obviously if you use the roads, and like, the caravan's going to use the roads, the villagers are going to try to use the roads. If someone wants to actually attack the village and the caravans, you'll know exactly where they are. They're going to be using the roads most of the time, so there should be some type of bonus. I don't know if it should be technically a speed bonus, because I guess the roads are easier to traverse, so therefore you should like go through them quicker. I don't know exactly what that would be, but I think something along those lines. I don't know if this train track idea is the best, in my opinion. By train track, I mean, like, obviously when you're a train and you're on a train track, you can't deviate from there. You know what I mean? So, like he says, if you're above 500, you'll be kind of like a train on a train track, where you would stay on those roads because you can't really go any other place, if that kind of makes sense. Next up is ambushes. I can't read. Also, something that has been mentioned in the past, but would like to expand on it. Ambushes should be available for armies that aren't bound to a road, so maybe below 500, just as an estimate. I haven't put too much thought into the numbers. How it would work is the player would find an area next to a road that was some sort of a natural blind spot, forest, hills, mountains. Setting up may take a set amount of time of in-game time, and this could be determined by the scouting or tactics perk. The player would then appear invisible to the enemy army, which will carry on along the road. Once the army reaches the player, they will have the option to engage or wait. If the engage is selected, the player will be taken onto the battle map. There will be a bird's eye view similar to how Siege starts. Here you will see the enemy marching along the road in a column formation, still unaware of your presence. Assuming the one step ahead perk is unlocked or implemented, you are able to place your troops along the flanks of the enemies, allowing you to rain arrows down upon them from either side, or have your infantry cavalry charge in a... I like this idea. The fact that when you go into the battle scene, they still don't know that you're what's it called? That you pretty much engage them, but they don't know it yet, and you can place your units behind them as they're walking. I think that's very good. Yes, I agree with that. And for this right here, when I mentioned ambushes, to make them a little bit more fair, because in this way you're saying that if it's below 500 then it's fair. I feel like anybody should be able to do it. Obviously it takes a lot longer to set up an ambush with, let's say, 1,000 than it would with 100, right? And that should go up exponentially to make it kind of like a burden. Obviously when you guys are hiding, you should take up more food, because they're not going to be doing anything. They're going to be sitting around. So guess what? They're probably going to be getting drunk and eating food. That's pretty much what your army's going to be doing. So your food cost will go up. So you can't just stay in the ambush thing forever, in the ambush state, right? So you have to either make a choice. Am I going to stay in this state and try to catch someone out, or am I going to get out of it, right? And also, I stated that ambushes can only be done near... it should be like a defensive strategy, not an offensive strategy. Now hear me out. So pretty much these type of strategies back in the day, they were mainly used whenever a huge enemy was attacking your home front. And the only way you can really counter them is because you know the land, and therefore you can hide and do these little counter attacks, right, as they're trying to move in on your land. So therefore, I feel that you should be able to make these like little ambush spots only a certain distance away from like a settlement or a castle, right? So if you own like a specific part of the map, that specific part of the map is where you can do these ambushes at. You cannot do it in enemy territory because you don't know enemy territory, so how can you really find the best spot to hide? But since you are technically, own this area of the map, let's say the Kazay area of the map, that area is very familiar to you, therefore you can find a good advantageous spot, if that kind of makes sense, right? That's kind of how I pictured it working. Let's see. If you choose to retreat, you won't lose favor with anyone, as the idea of an ambush isn't to eradicate the enemy army, but also to slow down / slow their morale / cripple a portion of their army supply line. I agree with that. However, once you retreat, if you engage in the enemy again, they will be full formation waiting for you. This would make a battalion a formidable force to invade because they have a lot of force to hide in. You could recreate the Battle of Pendriak. Okay, imagine an army of 1,000 Imperials getting ripped up by a band of 100 battalion archers shooting from the trees. This could completely change up your playstyle. You could become a Robin Hood type character, ambushing caravans or even armies and escaping into the hills or forests. The forests or hills. No longer will the bigger army always win. Okay, this is good, but I think that there needs to be some downsides. I don't want to be like that guy, but like, if you can just keep getting away with this, if you can get 100 archers, boom, 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 move a little bit farther back, do it again, boom, 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 move a little bit farther back, do it again, boom, boom, boom. I think I don't know, but I agree with a lot of the ideas here. I agree. I like this one where you can when you engage them, they are looking to the side or something like that. Very good. Share of wealth as empire expands. Pretty self-explanatory. I can't read. I'm sorry. Pretty self-explanatory. When a faction starts to get larger, everyone should feel the benefit, not just the monarch. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. You can't give your goals technically to your clan members now, and it will positively benefit them because they won't leave you because they have a lot of money. So you can't do that, but I understand there should be kind of like a function for it. Next we have is art. So statues. Just a quick idea that I reckon shouldn't be hard to implement. You should be able to have statues erected of your character in the main square or your town/castle. That's funny. It would cost a lot of money, however, you can cause upset among the populace if they are suffering and you just spent their taxes on a vanity project. However, if you are truly just and a worthy individual, the statues can increase your influence. That would be cool. Yes, that would be actually very cool. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. So if you're very liked, obviously people like seeing the side of you. If they see a statue of you, it's going to increase your influence throughout the kingdom. But if they don't like you, it could even cause a rebellion, which is a feature the devs are working on right now. And obviously it's going to cost a lot of money out of your pocket. Okay, I like that trade-off. Yeah. Statues can also be erected by a reduced rate after you die. Again, if you were a good leader, and completely free if you were the greatest leader that the faction had/founded the kingdom. Okay, yeah, and I feel like so this will give you a good amount of influence, and this one will give like your heir like a small portion of influence, right? Because your heir is kind of related to this great leader. Makes sense. More castle interior. I know this is already in the works, but I'd like to see more rooms and castles, giant quarters to explore, an entrance to the roof or balcony so I can look my lands, and a full entourage you'd normally find in a castle. That'd be kind of cool if you can like walk through the castle like 6 guards behind you. That'd be pretty cool. They have public executions, display body. Public executions of lords or criminals would help to instill loyalty or fear in the populace. It can either quell or incite a rebellion, so it might be used with caution. This should come with a full scene with a large crowd. You can choose to carry out the execution or allow a professional to do it. Still not sure what the difference would make, but I don't know. I think professionals usually always did executions. I don't think a lord or like a king ever did an execution himself. That's not how it's usually done. Because religion was like a big thing, and doing that was already condemning you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a weird concept, but like they always had a person who did it, right? Who like took up the burden. Still not sure what the difference would make, but I don't know. I like the man who passes the sentence must swing the sword thing. Could increase honor. You can also choose to display the bodies or heads rather on the walls of your settlement. That's some a. Well, no, a lot of people, a lot of different kingdoms have done that in the past, where they've displayed the body of a decapitated body or a decapitated head. Yeah, they've done that before. Yeah, true. I was thinking of one scene in general that was really gruesome. Not gruesome, kind of like really messed up. If you guys seen the Netflix series Marco Polo, it follows kind of like the what's it called? The European trader's son. He kind of gets sold into the servitude of the I think it's called the Kublai Khan by his father because his father failed to deliver some priests, and then the whole story is you follow his journey of Marco Polo, which is the trader's son, throughout it. And I'm not gonna give spoilers or anything, but like a little bit later on, a very very young child gets hanged, in front of like the whole kingdom to see, kind of, and like by the the leader. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. But it's like I was thinking about that as soon as you said this, and I was like, God damn, makes sense. It's a good idea though, and it should either I like that you're adding negatives and positives. I don't want ideas that are only positive or only negative. There should always be like this little cause and effect to it, right? To make it perfect. Next we have and last we have is combats. All right. So choose troop culture from recruits. Each recruit will still be the same, Imperial, Vladian, but once you level up to level 2, you should be able to decide their culture. I mean, you're the one training them and supplying the weapons and armor. Why would a Vladian train a Khazate horse archer? The troops will still have the facial features of their original culture. However, the noble troops can only be found in their homeland. This is definitely more of a Okay. So you're saying like the higher level troops you can only get from their homeland, right? Like you're not gonna get the fully upgraded Khazate, what's called horse archer. I don't know the exact name, but like the fully upgraded one, you're not gonna get him from leveling up a Sturgian troop, right? You'll only get to a certain point. I agree with that. That's kind of cool. Yeah. All right. And it doesn't even have to really be troop culture. It's not really what it is. It's kind of like he could still. What would be cool is whenever they upgrade, be like Vlandian Khazate inspired horse archer. Like the name changes to like the specific name, and then this would create like all these different combinations. And what also would be very very cool is since let's say you get a Battanian horse archer, right? So since the Battanians are very good with arrows or like long range arrows, you're gonna have like this horse archer combo where the Battanian is gonna like be on a horse, he's gonna be an archer, but he's gonna shoot way farther. Like his range is gonna be so much better than let's say a Khazate horse archer. And you can make like these little like cyborg troops, if that kind of makes sense in a way, right? That'd be very cool actually. Weather/wind direction. Weather is something that may have asked for, but I can imagine will certain make an appearance. I just have a few ways to add to it. So rain will cause boggy battles, will make it harder for horses to move. Yes, I've said this one time, and someone made fun of me in the YouTube comments. You know what I mean? I stated that because we were talking about like little hideout areas, right, where you would like build this like mini camp, right, kind of like a bandit hideout but for players. And I stated that you should be able to upgrade it, obviously with fences or with some spikes, like cross spikes. Or make the entrance to your hideout very very muddy, so horses will have a very tough time, like muddy and like very slippery, right? Because horses they can fall too, and or get stuck in the mud. That happens. So I think that would be very cool. Yes. And slower traveling in the map. Fog will reduce archer accuracy as well as it being unavailable to see the enemy formation. Very cool. Snow will reduce movement too, and extreme blizzards can kill troops on the campaign map. Okay, I agree with all this. Yeah, very cool. It would add a lot of stuff to the game. Like these, it's not a small fix at the same time. It's a lot of stuff you have to code in, but the concept, very simple concept, but it would add a lot to the game. Finally, there's wind, the direction of which will greatly change the effectiveness and range of archers. Yes, you could shoot downwind and hit all the targets from the bottom of a hill, whereas your enemy at the top could be out of range as they're shooting upwind. Very cool. Yes. Agree 100%. Perfectly explained. Yes. Bodyguards in town, pretty simple. If you're a noble or a monarch, you should be entitled to have a fully armored bodyguard escort you around town. I have another quick addition to towns, which should be in the art, but oh well. Your army should be able to set up tents just outside the town. Your troops should be in civilian clothes, eating food and drinking beer or whatever, to have your inventory, and maybe in the tavern. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Kind of like the same way, like if you're setting up a siege. Obviously, when you show up with this huge army to a town, not everyone's going into the town, right? They're not just like you have an army of 1,500. They all just rush into that town. Like no, they would usually wait outside. people who would need to go to town would go to the town, and obviously the nobles and the higher ups would go in there as well and probably spend the night there instead of what's it called, in the tents. But yes, and the second one with the armored bodyguards, yes, very cool. Assassins have been I can't read. I'm sorry. Assassins have been mentioned 100 times, but yeah, they should be able to attack you in the streets. Hence, why bodyguards would be useful. Cool concept. Yes, I agree. Empire has different noble units. Was a bit disheartened when I saw each Empire faction had the same troops. I understand most of them being the same, but was hoping for one at least variation in each. I think noble troops should be changed for each. The North should have Sturgian-inspired heavy infantry units based on the Varigane guards. The West should have cataphracts, a mix of the Vlandian and Azeroth-inspired heavy cavalry. And for the South, I think they should have horse archers as they border the Khazaits. Very cool concepts. They kind of like, like the Kirby effect. They kind of just like take effect of a different kingdom. Yes. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah. However, the idea of two noble horse archer troop lines bothered me for some reason, so really open to ideas. No, it makes sense. I think horse archers is just somehow, I don't know exactly how you would do it. Maybe kind of like, what do you call it? What's that? So I've been thinking about like a change for horse archers, right? So one thing that came to mind is like Age of Empires 2. So Age of Empires 2, a lot of people love going archers and horse archers, right? Because obviously the range, right? And a unit that's very overlooked in Age of Empires 2 is the skirmisher, if that's what it's called. I haven't played Age of Empires 2 in a while. But the skirmisher is the guy with the spear, and no, he's not the skirmisher. He's a spearman, I think, one or the other. But he pretty much he's made in the archery range as well. But he's pretty much the counter to all archers, whether you're on a horse or not. And he shoots spears. He's only a counter to the archers, and to the horse archers. Against any other unit, he is absolute garbage in my opinion, right? So I think if we can get a unit like that in the game, where they would be garbage versus any other units, but they would be very, very effective versus archers and horses, I think that would be very, very good. That's just my opinion of it. Now, wounded enemies on battlefield. Troops who fall in the battle and are listed wounded should have their own animation. They should lie on the ground, reeling in pain. If the player chooses to, they can order their men to finish them off. Would be quite cool to see the aftermath of a battle where troops wander solemnly around the bodies, putting their swords through screaming soldiers. That would be actually very cool. Kind of like an ending scene, like that's very cool. So maybe like when the scoreboard pops up, like the background would just be like, you would see like, and there would be different scenarios depending of. They would have to make a lot of what do you call it? They would have to make a lot of scenarios, right? Based on where you're at, where the battle took place, the type of troops that were involved, and they could make a lot of these scenarios and then just play them in the background. That'd be actually very cool. Yeah. I do not mean it in a sick way. More, I wanted to show the horror of war rather than the load of jolly mustache men cheering at the end. True. After seeing so much death. True. I feel like that's another thing, like in movies too, where what's it called? Where everyone is so happy after like killing a lot of people and then like having a lot of their friends die in like battle, and then coming out of it and being like, yeah, let's toast to it. Yeah, we won a great victory. Like a lot of those people, like they were messed up. You see a lot of people even now that come back from war and they're messed up. Because like that's a very big thing. To take somebody's life, to see so many of people that were in a way your friends, get taken down, whether in front of you or you hear about after the battle. That's a lot of loss and grievance and a lot of anger. So yeah, I agree with that a lot. Obviously, if you choose to kill them all, you'll have to be kept. They will not be kept as prisoners, and you could receive a small penalty to your character traits if you persistently do it and build a reputation of taking no prisoners. This can only really happen at the end of the battle too, as the wounded would most likely have to count towards the total number of troops on the battle. Okay. So that's that one. I agree with it. I would love to see this like little scenario being played out after. Thought I'd leave this nugget of info at the bottom, but I'm not a modder, nor do I have any knowledge about game development. I'm just a consumer with a few ideas. If some of these things aren't all possible due to engine restrictions, that's completely understandable. Again, these are ideas, not demands. I'm open to all suggestions. Very good ideas, my guy. Very good ideas. Hopefully you can see this video. Thank you for the recommendation. Pretty good thread. And yeah, like always, hopefully this was informative. Kind of opened your eyes. I don't know anything. Ask me any questions, concerns, and like always, stay safe.